Jake Harper leaned back in his seat, eyes fixed on the control panel of the small spaceship. He was excited. Today was a big day. The crew had received orders to explore a new planet, one that was rumored to have ancient ruins. Jake had always dreamed of adventures like this. As the youngest pilot in the fleet, he felt a mix of pride and nervousness. He was ready to prove himself. "Are we ready for landing?" asked Mark, the ship's navigator. He was older than Jake and often acted like a big brother. "Just about," Jake replied, adjusting the controls. He felt a surge of adrenaline as he prepared for the descent. The planet's surface appeared below them, a mix of lush green forests and rocky mountains. The ship touched down with a soft thud. Jake took a deep breath. They had arrived. He looked around at his crew. Mark, Sarah, and Tom. Each of them was as eager as he was to explore the unknown. "Let's gear up," Sarah said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She was always the first to jump into action. The crew quickly put on their exploration suits, checking their equipment. Jake felt a sense of unity among them. They were a team, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Once they were ready, they stepped. Out of the ship, the air was fresh, filled with the scent of damp earth and strange plants. The sky above was a beautiful shade of purple, unlike anything Jake had seen before. He felt a thrill run through him. This was the adventure he had dreamed of. "Stay close and keep your eyes open," Mark reminded them. They moved cautiously, walking deeper into the forest. The trees towered above them, their leaves shimmering in the soft light. Jake felt small, but that only fueled his excitement as they walked. They came across strange symbols carved into the bark of the trees. Jake stopped to examine them. "Look at this," he called out. The symbols were unlike anything they had seen before. They seemed to tell a story, but Jake couldn't understand it. "Maybe it's a warning," Tom suggested nervously. He was always the cautious one, worried about what might happen on these missions. "Or maybe it's a guide," Sarah said, brushing her fingers over the carvings. "We should keep going. There might be more to discover." They continued their journey. And soon they stumbled upon the ruins. The ancient structures were massive, built from stone and overgrown with vines. Jake's heart raced. This was it. They had found a piece of history. "Wow," Mark whispered, his eyes wide. "This place is incredible." Jake stepped forward, fascinated by the intricate designs on the walls. He could almost feel the stories of the people who had lived here. But as they explored, they suddenly heard a loud rumble. The ground shook beneath their feet. "What was that?" Tom shouted, panic rising in his voice. "I don't know," Jake replied, trying to stay calm. He looked around, and then he saw it. A massive door in the ruins began to open, revealing a dark corridor inside. "Should we go in?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake hesitated. They were not prepared for whatever lay beyond. But his curiosity got the better of him. "We have to see what's in there," he said. "It could be important." Reluctantly, crew agreed. They switched on their flashlights and stepped into the darkness. The corridor was cool and damp, the air thick with the scent of moss. As they moved deeper inside, Jake felt a mix of fear and excitement. They were entering uncharted territory. Suddenly, the lights on their suits flickered. "What's happening?" Tom asked, his voice trembling. "Just a power fluctuation," Jake reassured him, but deep down, he felt uneasy. The corridor seemed to stretch on forever. Just when they thought they might have made a mistake, they reached a large chamber. Room was filled with strange machinery and glowing crystals. Jake's eyes widened in wonder. This was something out of a science fiction movie. He stepped forward, drawn to one of the crystals, which pulsed with a soft light. "Be careful, Jake," Mark warned. "We don't know what this stuff does." "No," Jake said, his voice steady, "but we can't ignore it. This could be a key to understanding the Zypherians." Just then, a loud noise echoed through the chamber. The ground shook again, and the crew turned to see a group of tall alien figures emerging from the shadows. They were unlike anything Jake had ever seen, tall and slender, with shimmering skin and piercing eyes. "Uh-oh," Tom muttered, taking a step back. "I think we're in trouble." The aliens moved closer, their expressions unreadable. Jake felt a surge of fear. They had stumbled into something far beyond their control. He took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Become in peace," he said, raising his hands. "We're explorers. We mean no harm." The aliens paused, their eyes studying Jake. One stepped forward, a regal presence about her. She had long, flowing hair and a crown made of strange metal. Jake realized he was looking at the queen of the Zypherians. "Human," she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. "You trespass in our sacred place. Why should we not take you captive?" Jake swallowed hard. "We didn't know. We wanted to learn about your history, your culture. We believe peace is possible between our peoples." The queen narrowed her eyes. "You are just a child," she replied, her tone condescending. "What do you know of our ways?" Jake felt a spark of anger but held it back. "I may be young, but I've studied your history. I know about the conflicts between our worlds. I want to help end that." The queen studied him for a long moment, and Jake could feel the tension in the air. The crew stood behind him, hearts racing. Would she listen? Would she see him as more than just a kid? In that moment, Jake realized that this was only the beginning. He had a chance to change everything, but it would not be easy. He had to convince the queen that humans were not the enemy. As he looked into her eyes, he made a silent promise to himself. He would find a way to earn her respect, would show her that peace was worth fighting for. Jake stood in the ancient chamber, the queen's piercing gaze fixed on him. The weight of her presence made the air feel heavy. He knew he had to act quickly. The Zypherian queen Alara was not someone to underestimate. "I am not just a child," Jake said, his voice steady. "I am a pilot. I explore new worlds. I believe that we can learn from each other." Alara raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "You humans have always been quick to invade. Why should I believe you will not do the same now?" Jake took a deep breath, feeling the eyes of his crew on him. "Because we want peace. We came to understand your past, not to harm you. We know there has been conflict between our peoples. I want to help fix that." Alara considered his words. "Talk is easy. Show me your worth. You will prove that you can be trusted." "What do you want me to do?" Jake asked, ready for whatever challenge she would present. Alara looked at him closely. "You will face trials. If you succeed, I may consider peace. If you fail, your crew will be taken captive." Jake nodded, knowing the stakes. "I will do it. I won't let my crew down." Alara turned and gestured for the others to follow. Her, Jake, and his crew walked behind her as they left the chamber. They moved through winding corridors filled with strange symbols and glowing lights. Each step made Jake feel more determined. As they entered a larger hall, Jake saw many Zypherians gathered. They were tall and elegant, their eyes filled with curiosity. Some whispered among themselves, clearly unsure about Jake's presence. Alara stood in front of them, raising her hand for silence. "This human wishes to prove himself," she announced. "He will face 3 trials. If he succeeds, we will consider peace. If he fails, he and his crew will be our prisoners." The crowd murmured, and Jake felt their eyes on him. This was his chance to show them he was more than just a kid. He looked at his crew, who gave him encouraging nods. Alara pointed to a large arena outside the hall. "Your first trial will be combat. You will face one of my best warriors. Show us your strength and skill." Jake's heart raced. He had trained in combat, but this was different. The warrior would be an alien, strong and fast. He stepped forward, ready to accept the challenge. The arena was a vast open space, surrounded by towering walls. The ground was hard-packed dirt, and the atmosphere was charged with excitement. Jake could see the warrior waiting for him on the other side. He was tall, muscular, and had sharp features that looked fierce. "Prepare yourself," Alara said, stepping back to watch. The crowd cheered, their voices echoing in the arena. Jake took a deep breath, focusing on the task ahead. The warrior charged at him, moving with incredible speed. Jake quickly dodged to the side, feeling the rush of air as the warrior passed by. He had to think fast. He couldn't rely on brute strength alone. Jake remembered his training. He had learned to use his surroundings to his advantage. spotted a large rock nearby and quickly grabbed it as the warrior turned to face him. Jake threw the rock, aiming for the warrior's legs. The rock struck, and the warrior stumbled, giving Jake a moment to move in. He lunged forward and delivered a swift kick. The warrior fell to the ground, surprised by Jake's quick thinking. The crowd erupted in cheers. Jake felt a surge of confidence. He had won the first trial, but there were still 2 more to go. Ilara watched him closely, her expression unreadable. "Impressive," she said, her voice echoing through the arena. But this was only the beginning. "The next trial will test your intelligence." Jake nodded, ready for the challenge. He wanted to prove he was more than just a fighter. He wanted to show that humans could think and adapt. Ilara led them back. Inside the stronghold, where they entered a room filled with strange devices and puzzles. "You must solve this puzzle," she said, pointing to a complex machine. "If you can unlock it, you will earn my respect." Jake studied the machine. It was covered in buttons and levers, with glowing symbols that flickered. He felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. He had always enjoyed solving problems, but this was different. He had to succeed. He approached the machine, inspecting the symbols. He noticed a pattern. Quickly, he began to press buttons, following the sequence he had figured out. The machine hummed and whirred, lights flashing as he worked. The crowd watched in silence, their eyes fixed on him. Jake felt the pressure but focused on the task. He pressed another button, and suddenly the machine began to unlock. The door opened, revealing a bright light inside. The crowd gasped, and Ilara looked impressed. "You have shown great skill in this trial," she said, her tone softer now. "You are more than just a child." Jake smiled, feeling a wave of relief. He had completed the second trial, but there was still 1 more to go. He knew this last challenge would be the toughest. Ilara led them to a different part of the stronghold, where a large room was filled with ancient artifacts. "Your final trial is a test of courage," she announced. "You will enter the Chamber of Shadows, face your fears, and return without losing yourself." Jake's heart raced. This trial sounded daunting. He had heard stories about the Chamber of Shadows, where many had faced their worst nightmares. But he was determined to prove himself. Ilara opened the door to the chamber, and darkness enveloped him. The air felt cold and heavy. Jake took a deep breath and stepped inside. The door closed behind him, leaving him in complete darkness. As his eyes adjusted, Jake saw faint shapes moving around him. Shadows whispered in his ears, trying to pull him into fear. He felt a wave of panic rise within him, but he fought against it. He remembered his crew, the trust they had in him. "Focus," he whispered to himself. "You can do this." The shadows transformed into images of his past moments of doubt, fear, and failure. He saw himself failing tests, losing friends, and feeling alone. Each image tried to drag him down, but Jake stood firm. "I am not afraid," he declared, his voice echoing in the chamber. "I am stronger than my fears." With each step, the shadows began to fade. Jake focused on the positive memories, his friends, his family, the adventures he dreamed of. He felt a surge of strength and confidence. The darkness could not hold him back. Finally, he reached the end of the chamber. The door before him glowed with light. Jake pushed it open and stepped out, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. He had faced his fears and won. The crowd erupted in cheers as he re-entered the main hall. Ilara stood before him, her expression changed. She looked impressed and even a bit respectful. "You have completed the trials," she said. "You have shown strength, intelligence, and courage. Perhaps there is hope for peace between our peoples." Jake smiled, feeling a sense of pride. He had done it. He had proven himself not just as a pilot, but as a representative of humanity. But he knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, convincing Ilara and her people that humans could be trusted, with determination in his heart. Jake stepped forward. "Thank you, Ilara. I believe we can build a future together. Let us work toward peace." Ilara nodded slowly, her eyes thoughtful. "We will see, human. The road ahead will be difficult, but perhaps we can find a way." Jake felt a flicker of hope.
Yes.
He had taken the first steps toward a new beginning. The journey was far from over, but he was ready to face whatever came next. Jake stood in the grand hall of the Zypherian stronghold, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had just completed the 3 trials set by Queen Alara, and she had shown him a glimmer of hope for peace between their peoples. But he knew that the real work was just beginning. Alara's approval was only the first step in a long journey. The crowd of Zephians still buzzed with energy from the trials. Many of them were impressed by Jake's skills, but there were still some who watched him with distrust. Jake could feel their eyes on him, judging him. He had to win them over. Alara raised her hand to silence the crowd. Today we have seen the strength of this human. He has proven himself in combat, intelligence, and courage. But we must also see how he can work with us. If we are to move toward peace, we need to understand each other. Jake stepped forward, feeling the weight of her words. I want to learn about your culture and your people. I believe that by understanding each other, we can build a better future. Alara nodded. Then you will spend time among us. You will learn our ways, and we will learn yours. But be warned, not all of my people will welcome you. I understand, Jake replied, determination in his voice. He was ready for the challenge. Alara gestured for Jake to follow her. They walked through the stronghold, passing rooms filled with strange artifacts and symbols. Jake admired the beauty of the Zypherian architecture, the way the buildings seemed to blend with the natural environment. He felt a sense of wonder about this new world. As they walked, Alara began to explain the history of the Zypherians. Have lived on this planet for thousands of years. Our people are deeply connected to the land and the stars. We believe in harmony with nature. Jake listened carefully, fascinated by her words. That sounds amazing. On Earth we have many different cultures, each with its own beliefs and traditions. Tell me about your culture, Alara said, her interest piqued. What do humans value? Jake thought for a moment. We value freedom, creativity, and progress. We believe in exploring new ideas and pushing the boundaries of what we know. But we also face many challenges, like conflict and environmental issues, Alara considered his words. We face challenges, too.
How?
Our history is filled with conflict, especially with your kind. Many Zypherians remember the battles and the loss. I want to help change that, Jake said sincerely. Can learn from our past mistakes? It starts with understanding each other. As they continued their walk, they reached a large garden filled with vibrant plants and flowers. Jake was amazed by the colors and scents. This place is beautiful, he said, taking it all in. This garden is a symbol of our connection to nature, Alara explained. We nurture it as we nurture our relationships. It is a place of peace. Jake felt a sense of calm wash over him. I can see why it's important to you. Maybe we can create something like this on Earth. Alara smiled slightly. Perhaps. But first you must understand our ways. Join me for a gathering tonight. You will meet more of my people. Nodded eagerly. I would love that. As night fell, the stronghold was lit with glowing crystals that cast a soft light. The gathering took place in a large hall where Zypherians filled the space. They wore colorful garments made from natural fibers, and their eyes sparkled with curiosity as they noticed Jake. Alara stood at the front of the hall, introducing Jake to the crowd. This is Jake Harper, a human who has shown great courage and skill. He wishes to learn from us and share his knowledge. Jake felt nervous under the gaze of so many Zypherians, but he stepped forward to speak. Thank you for welcoming me. I want to understand your culture and your people. I believe we can work together to create a better future. Some in the crowd whispered among themselves, unsure of what to think. A tall Zypherian with bright blue skin stepped forward. Why should we trust you, human? Your kind has caused us pain in the past. Jake took a deep breath, ready to respond. I understand your distrust. I know that my people have made mistakes, but I am here to learn and to help. We can build trust through understanding. The crowd murmured again, and Jake sensed the tension. He needed to show them he was serious. I am willing to listen to your stories and learn about your ways. I want to know what you value and how we can find common ground. Alara nodded in support. Let us share our traditions. Tonight, we will tell stories, sing songs, and celebrate our cultures. This is a chance for us to connect. As the gathering began, Zypherians took turns sharing their stories. Some spoke of their ancestors, their connection to the land, and the lessons learned through generations. Jake listened intently, captivated by their rich history. When it was his turn to speak, Jake felt a mix of excitement and fear. He shared stories of Earth, of its beauty, and its struggles. He talked about the importance of friendship, cooperation, and the hope for a better future. Slowly, he noticed a change in the crowd. Some Zypherians seemed more open, nodding and understanding. Others still looked skeptical, but at least they were listening. After the storytelling, the gathering transformed into a celebration. Zypherians danced to rhythmic music, their movements graceful and fluid. Jake watched in awe, feeling the energy of the moment. He wanted to join in, but he felt unsure. Ilara noticed his hesitation. "Come, Jake, dance with us. It is a way to connect." Jake smiled, feeling encouraged. He stepped into the circle, clumsily mimicking the movements of the Zypherians. Laughter erupted as he stumbled, but the Zypherians welcomed him with open arms. They showed him the steps. And soon he was laughing along with them. The night continued with joy and laughter, and Jake felt a sense of belonging. He realized that this was what he had hoped for, bridge between their worlds, built through understanding and shared experiences. As the gathering came to an end, Ilara turned to Jake. "You have taken the first steps toward building trust. It will not be easy, but I believe you have the heart to make a difference." "Thank you, Ilara," Jake replied, feeling grateful. "I will do everything I can to prove that humans can be allies, not enemies." As they walked back to the quarters where Jake and his crew were staying, he felt a sense of hope. The path ahead would be challenging, but he was determined to make a difference. He believed that, together, they could create a new future for both their peoples. Jake lay in bed that night, thoughts racing in his mind. He knew that earning the trust of the Zypherians would take time and effort, but he was ready for the challenge. He had already taken the first steps, and he would not give up. With a sense of purpose, Jake closed his eyes, dreaming of a world where humans and Zypherians could live in peace. He knew the journey ahead would be long, but he felt hopeful. Together, they could overcome their past and build a brighter future. The next day, Jake woke up with a sense of purpose. He was determined to learn more about the Zypherians and their culture. He wanted to find ways to build trust and friendship between their two worlds. After a quick breakfast with his crew, he met Ilara in the garden. "Good morning, Jake," Ilara said, her eyes bright. "Are you ready for another day of learning?" "Absolutely," Jake replied, feeling excited. "What do you have planned for me today?" Ilara smiled. "Today, we will visit a sacred site. It is a place where our people connect with our ancestors and the spirit of the land. I believe it will help you understand us better." Jake nodded eagerly. He felt that visiting this site would deepen his understanding of the Zypherian culture. They set off together, walking through the lush landscape. The plants glowed softly in the morning light, and the air was fresh and crisp. As they walked, Ilara shared stories about the site. This place is called the Circle of Spirits. It is said that those who visit can feel the wisdom of our ancestors. Many Zypherians come here to seek guidance and peace. Jake listened closely, fascinated by her words. "Do you believe in the spirits?" he asked. Ilara paused for a moment, considering his question. "I believe in the connection we have to our past. Our ancestors lived in harmony with the land, and their lessons guide us today. It is important to remember where we came from." When they arrived at the Circle of Spirits, Jake was amazed. The site was surrounded by tall stones, each covered in intricate carvings. In the center was a large flat stone with symbols that glowed softly. It was a peaceful place, filled with a sense of history. "This is beautiful," Jake said, taking it all in. "It feels special here." Ilara nodded. "Many come here to reflect and find answers. I want you to spend some time in silence. Listen to the land and feel the energy of the spirits." Jake closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He focused on the sounds around him, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of birds, and the gentle breeze. He felt a sense of calm wash over him. In that moment, he understood the importance of this place to the Zypherian people. After some time, Jake opened his eyes and turned to Alara. "Thank you for bringing me here. I can see why this place matters so much to you." Alara smiled. "I am glad you feel this way. Now, let us return to the stronghold. There is more to learn." As they walked back, Jake felt inspired. He wanted to share this experience with his crew and show them the beauty of Zypherian culture. When they arrived, Jake gathered his friends, Mark, Sarah, and Tom, to tell them about the Circle of Spirits. "Wow, sounds amazing," Mark said, his eyes wide with interest. "I wish I could have gone with you." "Maybe we can all visit together," Jake suggested. "It's important for us to understand their culture if we want to build a friendship." "Definitely," Sarah agreed. "The more we learn, the better we can work together." Jake felt a sense of teamwork among them. They all wanted to make things work with the Zypherians. He decided to ask Alara if they could all visit the Circle of Spirits together. Later that day, Jake approached Alara with the idea, "Would it be possible for my crew to visit the Circle of Spirits? I think it would help us understand your culture better." Alara considered his request. "I believe it could be beneficial. If you wish, we can arrange a gathering there tomorrow." Heart raced with excitement. "Thank you, Alara. I know they will appreciate it." The next day, Jake and his crew stood at the entrance to the Circle of Spirits, feeling a mix of anticipation and wonder. Alara led them inside, and Jake watched as the Zypherian people gathered around. They were curious about the humans and eager to share their traditions. Alara began speaking to the crowd. "Today we welcome our human friends to the Circle of Spirits. They wish to learn from us, and we will share our stories and our wisdom." Jake stepped forward, feeling nervous but determined. "Thank you all for allowing us to be here. We are grateful for this opportunity to learn about your culture." Zypherians listened intently, their eyes focused on Jake. A Zypherian elder stepped forward, her long hair flowing like water. "Welcome, Jake. We have much to share. Our stories are our strength, and we hope you will carry them with you." As the elder began to speak, Jake felt a deep connection forming. She shared tales of their ancestors, how they lived in harmony with nature, and the lessons they learned from the land. The stories were rich and filled with meaning, and Jake found himself captivated. After the elder spoke, another Zypherian shared a song. The melody was beautiful, echoing through the air. Jake felt the rhythm in his heart, and soon he found himself singing along, even though he didn't know the words. The Zypherians welcomed him, their voices blending together in harmony. As the gathering continued, Jake noticed that his crew was also engaging with the Zypherians. Mark was chatting with some young Zypherians, exchanging stories about their worlds. Sarah was trying to learn some of the Zypherian dances, and even Tom was smiling and laughing. Jake felt a sense of joy watching them connect. This was what he had hoped for, a bridge between their cultures. They were no longer just humans and Zypherians. They were friends, sharing experiences. After the gathering, Alara approached Jake. "You have brought your people closer to us today. This fills my heart with hope." "I couldn't have done it without my crew," Jake replied, feeling proud of their teamwork. "We all want to learn and grow together." Alara smiled. "There is still much work to be done. Trust takes time, but I believe we are on the right path." As they left the Circle of Spirits, Jake felt a sense of accomplishment. They had taken significant steps toward understanding each other. He knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but he was determined to keep moving forward. Later that evening, Jake sat with his crew under the stars. They shared their thoughts about the day. "I never expected to feel so connected," Sarah said, her eyes shining. "Their stories are beautiful." "I agree," Mark added. "We have a lot to learn from them," Jake nodded. "And we can share our stories too. That way we can build trust together." Tom looked thoughtful. "What if we hold a gathering on our ship? We could share our culture with them." Jake's eyes lit up at the idea. "It's a great plan. We can show them what life is like on Earth." The crew spent the evening discussing their ideas for the gathering. They talked about sharing music, food, and stories from Earth. Jake felt a sense of excitement building. This could be another important step toward friendship. As they prepared for the gathering, Jake realized how far they had come. They were no longer just explorers, they were ambassadors of peace. He was proud of what they were doing and hopeful for the future. Tomorrow would be another chance to build bridges between their worlds. They had taken the first steps toward understanding, and Jake was ready to keep moving forward. Together, they could create a new path of friendship, one story at a time. The next day, Jake and his crew were busy preparing for the gathering on their ship. They wanted to share their culture with the Zypherians in a meaningful way. Jake felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was a big step toward building trust and friendship. As they worked, Jake's crew came together to plan the event. "We should have some Earth food for them to try," Sarah suggested. "Maybe pizza or some fruit, something they can enjoy." "That sounds great," Mark agreed. "And we can play some music. I have a few songs that might be fun." Tom added, "We should also tell them stories about our history. It's important they know who we are." Jake nodded. "Let's make it a celebration. We want them to feel welcome." They decided to set up the gathering in the ship's main area. The room was big enough to hold both humans and Zypherians. They decorated it with colorful lights and arranged seating in a circle to create a friendly atmosphere. When the time came, Jake felt butterflies in his stomach. He wanted everything to go well. He stood at the entrance of the ship, waiting for Alara and the Zypherians to arrive. His heart raced with anticipation. Finally, the Zypherians arrived, led by Alara. They entered the ship, their eyes wide with curiosity. Jake greeted them with a warm smile. "Welcome to our ship. We are so glad you could join us." Lara looked around, impressed by the decorations. "Thank you for inviting us, Jake. This is a beautiful place." As the Zypherians settled in, Jake introduced his crew. "These are my friends, Mark, Sarah, and Tom. We are excited to share our culture with you." The Zypherians nodded, their expressions friendly. Jake could see that they were curious about everything. He felt a sense of hope that this gathering could strengthen their bond. To start the evening, Mark played some music on a small device. The sounds filled the room, a mix of lively tunes and gentle melodies. Jake watched as the Zypherians listened, their heads nodding to the rhythm. "Let's dance." Sarah called out, and she moved to the center of the room. The humans joined her, and soon they were all dancing together. The Zypherians hesitated at first, but then Alara stepped forward and joined in. Her movements were graceful, and soon others followed her lead. Jake felt joy spread through the room. This was what he had hoped for, a moment of connection through music and dance. He smiled as he danced, feeling the energy and happiness of the gathering. After a while, they took a break and sat down together. Jake decided it was time to share some food. "We have prepared some Earth dishes for you to try," he announced. "I hope you enjoy them." He brought out the pizza, cut into slices, and watched as the Zypherians looked at it with curiosity. "What is this?" one of them asked, sniffing the air. "It's called pizza. It is bread, cheese, and toppings," Jake explained. "I think you'll like it." Alara took a slice and took a bite. Her eyes widened in surprise. "This is delicious. I never expected food to taste like this." Jake felt a sense of relief and happiness. "I'm glad you like it. We also have some fruit for dessert." He brought out a bowl of fresh fruit, including apples, oranges, and berries, as they enjoyed the food. Jake and his crew began to share stories about Earth. They talked about their lives, their families, and their dreams. "Many cultures," Tom said. "Each one is unique and adds to the richness of our world." Alara listened closely. "Your stories are fascinating. It is good to know that you have different traditions. It makes us feel more connected." After sharing their stories, Jake turned to Alara. "What about you? Can you tell us about your own traditions and history?" Lara nodded, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Of course. Our people have a long history of living in harmony with nature. We believe that everything is connected: the land, the plants, and all living beings. Our ancestors taught us to respect the balance of life." Jake felt inspired by her words. "That's similar to what we are learning. We have to find ways to protect our environment and work together. The conversation flowed easily, and Jake could see that the Zypherians were starting to open up. They began to share their own stories, each one revealing a piece of their culture. One Zypherian spoke of the first queen who united their people, while another shared tales of ancient battles and the lessons learned from them. As the evening continued, Jake felt a sense of unity building between the two groups. It was as if they were weaving a tapestry of stories, each thread representing a part of their identities. After a while, Jake stood up and raised his glass to friendship and understanding. May we continue to learn from each other. Everyone raised their glasses in response. To friendship. They echoed, their voices ringing together. The gathering continued late into the night. Filled with laughter, music, and shared stories, Jake felt a warmth in his heart. This was more than just a gathering. It was the beginning of a new chapter, for both humans and Swi Pants. As the night came to an end, Alara approached Jake. You have done well today. This gathering has shown that we can find common ground. Thank you for your hospitality, Jake smiled, feeling proud. Thank you for coming and for sharing your stories. I believe we can build a strong friendship. Alara nodded. There is still much work to be done, but I feel hopeful. We must continue to share and learn from each other. As the Zypherians left the ship, Jake felt a sense of accomplishment. They had taken significant steps toward building trust and understanding. He knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but he was ready to face them. Later that night, Jake gathered with his crew. He talked about the gathering and how well it had gone. I never expected them to enjoy our food so much, Sarah laughed. I think they really liked the pizza, Mark added, and the dancing. It was amazing to see them join in. I think we made a real connection tonight. Jake nodded, feeling proud of their efforts. This is just the beginning. We have a lot more to learn from each other, and I believe we can make a difference. As they settled down for the night, Jake felt a sense of hope for the future. He knew that by working together, they could overcome their differences and create a better world. The journey ahead would not be easy, but he was ready to take on the challenges with his friends by his side together. They would build a bridge between their worlds, one step at a time. And with each shared story and experience, they would grow. Closer, united in their quest for peace and understanding,